Good morning, Azeroth. It is the 7th of May 2025. Grab your morning beverage and welcome to the stream. Today we'll be knocking out our weekly quests, both with the Nightfall and the Undermine cartels, slowly building up our rep. Without any further ado, let's get stuck in. Hope you're all doing well today, about halfway through the week. Take it steady. Keep yourselves hydrated. You've got this. Let's nab up some weeklies and get ourselves over to Nightfall. Here and grab us a pinnacle. Undermine weeklies be the easiest to go.
Bring Beladar's warmth to those in need.
Yeah, we're not looking too bad on coffer keys at the moment. There's only so many more quests and upgrades through delves that we can get, but we keep going. Yesterday was a horrendous showing for the underpin. But I'm still confident we can get him down before the next season gets going. With plenty of time. Biggest news of the past week, as I'm sure most of you have no doubt seen, was the delay of Grand Theft Auto 6. Straight up about a year. I think it's May next year now, the release date is looking. Now, on the one hand, always give developers more time to make the thing great, no matter how long it takes. At the end of the day, a better product for us, we, the consumers, always going to be better. On the other hand, it has no doubt got a load of folks in the industry going, oh gods, we cancelled our announcement and our release date and pushed and moved things for the likely scenario of GTA 6 happening. And it hasn't happened. Dear God, what will we do now? And just the absolute flailing around that is likely to ensue thereafter. We'll have to see when it comes to bigger shifts. But I think a lot of the wider industry, especially if you look to more the business side and shareholder side of it, we're hoping that GTA 6 would do a lot in terms of getting it general investment in the industry going, because it was going to take the year by storm. It is good for the other games that have come out this year, because GTA was no doubt, and there's been plenty of shorts and little things about it, news videos, that it was going to take Game of the Year and that kind of thing without question, regardless of the quality of other stuff. Just sheer mass of appeal, it was going to be no contest. As much as I'm not a fan myself, you cannot argue with the absolute hurricane that is Grand Theft Auto. But with that out of the way, I think at the very least games this year will get some recognition. So we're going for Avowed right now, we had Eternal Strands, we had Monster in the Wilds. That Claire Obscura game, the more little snippets I see of it, the more and more I'm really excited to get to it.
Get in there and show them the strength of the flame.
Because it does look really, really, really cool. And I'm not the biggest turn-based strategy fan. I've never really played one of the Final Fantasy games. The only one really I played, besides the MMO of course, which I dabbled in for a few months. I played 13 a little bit, and that's really, in the grand pantheon of Final Fantasy, not really considered a good one. You know, Pokemon, all the way back when for me. It was a turn-based game, you know, it's there. Then you get your indie stuff like Darkest Dungeon, which I really enjoyed, but it's still not the turn-based strategy in that sense. You know, when people think of old turn-based strategy, they think of the old Final Fantasy games, they think of Chrono Trigger, that kind of thing. Closest I've probably ever come was a Mega Man game, of all things, called Mega Man X Command Mission. Because that had that same style of there are free characters, you're picking your moves, you're slowly building up companions and doing little bits of RPG stuff. I think there was a Yu-Gi-Oh game in the same vein. Falsebound Kingdom, I want to say? Which I just being a fan of the series, that was a joy. But these aren't necessarily games that will come to mind for a lot of people. So I'm really excited to get to Clair Obscura and give it a proper go in as what is heralded as, oh, this is what Final Fantasy to a lot of people should have been over the years, rather than always trying to change up its combat system to hit different audiences. This is the one that's going to play more to the strengths of those older games. And by all accounts, other than, I think, some people being disingenuous of, oh, it's a turn-based game, it can't be that good, which is ridiculous. If you're not going to like a genre, that's one thing, but shitting on a game because you don't like its genre is just, that's just stupid. It's just stupid. But the active, like, parry and combat system where you're having to really interact with the fights as they go. Again, I try not to look at too much for a game I want to be playing. But when you're going through your shorts feed, or more likely for a lot of folks, a TikTok feed in the same vein, you just see snippets, and every now and then I'm like, oh, this looks curious, and you know, you give it, you don't just scroll past immediately, you give it a few more moments. And it just looks like a lot of fun. But it will be a wee bit before we get to it, as I've said before. We've got Doom coming out within just over a week. Don't know if I'll have Avowed done in time for it, but again, as I've said before, I don't need to have a game finished and rushed through just so I can hit a release date. I'm happy getting to things down the line. Then Elden Ring Night Reign, of course. Well, Clair Obscura is definitely on the docket after that. And I think without GTA 6 and that shadow looming over the year, all these games will have more of an opportunity to shine. Good morning, Emilis. You're well today and you enjoyed half your day off yesterday? And your Zaza time went well? We're just cracking on with our weeklies. We do have in maybe another 2 weeks, just over 2 weeks, Horrific Visions coming in. We're very excited to get into those proper. That'll take the place of one of the weekly streams. The WoW stuff, as we start getting into the swing of things. Well, I'm glad of the day off for you again. It's a little unfortunate to have to get all the way to work to then discover, oh, I'm going home. But, you know, as far as things go, good result. Enjoy yourself another day off. I also finally got through the that comedy vampire show I mentioned before, that What We Do in the Shadows. I finished that up. Ended up enjoying it. I think as the seasons went on, like a lot of those, you kind of get comfy with it, and it doesn't necessarily hit you. I don't think there were that many laugh out loud moments, but it was fun to follow through, and I liked the characters a lot. But it felt like a very, compared to some of the earlier seasons, that final season felt very definitive in its ending. Like, the show is over now. Like, very clearly, we're not going to be doing more. Which only came out like the other year. Nicely done, Emilis. Gotta be constantly building up that transmog. Oh god, where do I take this bomb? This burrow.
The mighty adversary has taken the field. Get in there, soldier.
Now I'm like
The cowardly
considering
followers
things
are
to watch.
retreating. Rally to me, and we will finish this.
And
fight.
there's a lot in... You end up, whether it's TikTok or YouTube Shorts, watching a lot of a series that you've never seen before. Like, Sopranos is like one on my list of shame that I never got around to. But I've seen so many little bits of it from those short clips. And in that vein, there's a show that's only been coming out the past 5 weeks or so called Mobland, which is Pierce Brosnan, Helen Mirren, Tom Hardy and all that. And that looks really good. It's like a UK crime drama.
We are the flames' radiance.
But it's only on Amazon Prime and you have to have a Paramount subscription. Now, doubling up on subscription, no thank you. But you can get a free week of it. So the plan is to wait until all the episodes are out, which I believe is the 1st or 2nd of June. And then just binging it all on a Saturday. I'm saying, right, I'm sacrificing the day. We're going to watch all of this show and get it spotted. So I'm eager to get into that. On the other side of downtime, I've finally been getting back into For Honor. Some old friends of mine talking about jumping back in. I said, you know what, I'll give it a re-download. We'll have a look. And I'm really surprised by a couple of things. One was, despite it being a PvP game for the most part, and that not really being a gaming space I delve into much these days, how much I really enjoyed it and how much muscle memory just kicked in. And that game came out in 2017. And apart from shaking off a little bit of rust, the ebb and flow of combat, for lack of a better term, feigning your opponents, parrying their attacks, spacing, movement, getting objectives, all came so casually that it was just really easy to get back into it. There are like 5 new heroes since I last played, some of which are pretty bog standard kits. You're like, right, I get the feel for what's happening here. Some of whom, the difference between someone just picking them up immediately and someone who's invested time was mind-boggling. There's a lady with a Mason of Shield called Afria, which is just, whoa, dangerous when she gets going. And the Ocelot cat, I always wanted like the Jaguar Warrior from Age of Empires 2 to be in there, and finally is. So I've been slowly leveling that one up. It's been a lot of fun, and even jumping proper into PvP and not just doing versus AI to shake the rust off. That player base, it is constant, or that gamer outfit is constantly getting new players and people on the lower end of overall level, which they call reputation. So in an average match, you'll see someone who's played constantly or over time and is in the hundreds of reputation, and they'll have some really bad habits. Clearly have been resting on their laurels, but then you'll see a load of people level 30 and under who are newer to the game, or even lower than that, and it's just really cool to see that that game is still grabbing up new players. Ah, the Lawbringer, Emilis. Lawbringer was like my original main as well. A lot of ad mortem inimicus. That game is so unique and has so much style to it. Like, it doesn't fall in the same band as your Chivalries and your Mordhaus. It is a lot more of a fighting game than a hack and slash. And they have parallels to that as well, but I think more than anything, it has that vibe. And the voice lines going throughout different languages, I think is just part of that charm. There isn't a better game to slow walk than For Honor.
We burn brightly together. If the shadows find you, call.
No superstis. Exactly. They're so quotable, all of them. They get the warden with his shoulder. Miseru! You have, oh man, no, I'm just going to start listing off them. Peacekeeper, the little dagger character. Zicaditura! Then, what's it, Black Prior with the shield. Oh man. All of the Viking stuff. Whenever Raider does the unblockable axe swing, Ik vreveer bita, and my pronunciation will be all over the place and horrible. But it's just really cool. And I remember in that game's lifespan, the time they tried to do a full-on voice acting overhaul, just to change the vibe. And while the idea was interesting and having the characters communicate more with each other, they also got rid of all of those voice lines and the unique language stuff, which everyone immediately railed against. Also for Warden, you take away Jennifer Hale and Liam O'Brien and just have this young child sounding voice, and it was like, no, you don't take those two away. Not for that. Oh yeah, Warlord with his shield. Whenever he'd go into full stance, revolt me. Something like that. He has like dodge attacks now. Like, it's crazy the little things that changed. Warden has, like, whenever he hits with a shoulder bash now, he's got unique animations for the follow-up attacks. And if he does the heavy swing, he whacks the sword in a different direction. Really cool. And again, it's so often either on sale or at a cheap price. For Honor's the kind of game I recommend to the vast majority of people. If you don't mind a bit of PvP, especially those who are more PvP inclined. But someone who was very much old guard with that game, going back into it, it is still For Honor. There's more crossover. There's like some Destiny skins in there. They've currently got a Prince of Persia event on again. The Warrior Within variant, which was an extremely edgy game. The second Prince of Persia game. I liked the combat, but it was so up its own backside with edginess. Can't half look back and love it for that, though, these days. I think I had most of the heroes when I played on console. Like, on Xbox, I had nearly 1,000 hours in that game. And they never did cross-progression. They did cross-play, fortunately. But they never did cross-progression. So all of those reps and armor unlocks, because the reputation system I mentioned, when you get to about rep 7 on a character, which is quite a time investment, you basically unlock not all of, but most of the armor and weapon options for looting. And that's where your fashion game comes in, because my gods, is it a good fashion game as you unlock more options. But not having most of that on PC, I only have like 4 characters or so on the PC, and my PC playthrough has maybe just over 100 hours, something like that, compared to my console time. Baby hours. So I always wish that they would do it, but I'm pretty sure they've said it in interviews over the years, it would just be too much. Like, it was a Herculean effort for Warframe to get to that point. Well, basically, to unlock more options for your armor and your visuals, it is breakpoints of the reputation. So if memory serves, when you hit rep 1, you start getting blues. When you hit rep 3, you start getting purples. Rep 5, yellows. Rep 7, yellows. And then rep 9, greens. And then I think again at rep 11, you just start getting some rarer stuff. But those are like the break points, where your customization and fashion becomes more doable. And again, you have to loot a piece first, either through playing the game and being rewarded with a piece at the end of a fight, or the little scavenger crates that you get as you play. So my tactic, it would always be save up those crates until you get the character you want, at least to rep 7, and then open a bunch of them to get yourself a load of options. Now, it does take the game's currency, steel, to both upgrade gear for its stats and to change the transmog. And given that heroes cost that currency as well, it can be... it's a lot to earn it without playing it on a very regular basis. That's the other thing I noticed, is if you want to level up characters efficiently, you have to be playing and doing those orders every couple of days or so. Which, to be fair, when you're in it, it's not too bad. And if it's the only game on your live service list of dailies to be done, It's alright. And when I was deep into it, I had several games on the go at once, so it was a lot harder to do. But as it stands right now, not bad at all. But yeah, we're going to be playing some of that with friends over the weekend. At some point, I might do some streams of it if things are quieter. I'm hoping it's a game that they don't take offline anytime soon. It's still, you know, they're still doing crossover events. They're still selling stuff. And they're actually rotating in old battle passes. With every new battle pass, they rotate in one of the old ones that you weren't up at the same time. It's not bad, Emily. She'll have some clothing options there. But honestly, it's just been a lot of fun. And as far as PvP things go, while the learning curve is pretty steep, the tutorial they start you off with, because it started me off there because I hadn't played in so long, whilst a little time consuming and a little hand-holdy, I think it's very necessary for that game. Because if you just ignore that tutorial and go straight in, you don't know how to feint, you don't know how to parry, you're just going to get blown away. Which again, whether it's new players or old guard, it's a lot of folks just relying on all the dodge attacks. And you just wait, you throw out a heavy attack, you feint it, they do their dodge attack, you parry it, and you punish them. There was someone the other day who fell for that 4 or 5 times in a row. It was wild to see. It's like, please don't just dodge attack, and they've done it again. And to be fair, whether you're rusty or a newer player, that can catch you off because different characters have different directions on their dodge attacks. So some characters will swing in the opposite direction they're dodging. I think that reality, Emilis, is something that happens in all games. New player, immediately to ranked. And it's like, I don't know, there's a level of arrogance there.
I'm out of range.
That never ceases to amaze me. The worst part is most people who do that, A, it's a team game. Like if you're playing solo or in Frona's case, you're playing ranked duels, that's fine, you're going to learn your lesson. When you do it on a team game and you haven't even done the tutorial, mind-boggling. Absolutely mind-boggling. What are you doing? Going to get your shit kicked in. And you, For Honor's 1v1 ranked queue used to take a really long time. But you do get a fancy ornament for most heroes through doing it, which is another way to customize yourself. I think I got the... On console, I had 3 characters with the fancy ranked ornament. I think I got to platinum as I... When I push ranked on any game, I tend to get to about platinum. Like the 4th rank, generally speaking. Which is still like an upper 20% or more of players. But isn't exactly truly sweating it. But when there's cosmetic rewards to be gotten, it's like, wow, I like going for those elite sets. And in For Honor, duels are very much... not necessarily separate, but the lessons you need to learn for 4v4 versus 1v1 and fighting multiple people, it's a lot. Mordhau, again, I think For Honor in the Art of War system where you move in the 3 directions and you're guarding and blocking in those directions, versus a game like Mordhau or Chivalry where you're kind of swinging your weapon and following through, and the actual direction of your camera and facing are really important. Mordhau was a lot of fun. I think I enjoyed it a touch more than Chivalry. Never got round to Chivalry 2 past the tutorial because it was on Epic Games for free 1 month. And that was a fantastic tutorial, by the way. It was really good. I just never followed through. But Mordhau was a lot of fun. Just spinning around and bashing. And when the battlefield is that much bigger, For Honor's very tight. Again, 4v4, 2v2, 1v1. Whereas Mordhau and Chivalry get, you know, up to, if I remember rightly, 8v8, 16v16. Much bigger battlefields. So it gets real bloody messy. Completely get that. And Melissa, it's certainly a game that can hold that. And fair enough, I will take your word for it if you thought Mordhau stood better than Shiv 2 did. Does not surprise me. They all do pretty well in their own right, but I still think For Honor's different enough I think like a much less popular, the dragon game I mentioned before, Century Age of Ashes, there's nothing really like them. And I think that's why For Honor still has its appeal and can still keep going. The Ubisoft don't market it in the same way they do Rainbow Six Siege, but it's in that echelon. I just hope they keep with it, because I'd love to keep playing it. And now it feels like it's going to be a regular downtime game for the moment. Because before that, I was still playing Wayfinder, a loot-based RPG. I pretty much got all the achievements, got through the end game, finally built my player house in that game, or decorated my house rather. And it felt like, you know, I've done all I need to do here. I could level up all the other characters to max and unlock some outfits, but it has run its course. Otherwise, I'd just be forcing myself to collect things. And I do like collecting things, but I had plenty in that game by that point. Boop. Not in combat game, you're lying to me. Let me horse. I'm booping up a worm, it's fine. Oh, it's because they're all immune and stuck in places. You, come here. You'll get me out of combat once I beat your snoop. Still in combat. Sadness. We ride. Let's have a swig of his beverage before it goes cold. Ah, lovely. Oh, are these daily quests? Not weekly quests? Oh, I could have probably been doing these to keep the rep going. Whoops.
The Emperor rewards the faithful.
Where is my rep for it? Ah, not very high. So that'd be an extra 1,000 a day? No. 600-ish? Still in combat. What are we doing, game? Why are you like this? I can always well queuing for LFR tomorrow. Come and knock these out again. Yeah, I'm not... What was the transmog stuff? Yeah, there wasn't actually transmog stuff on here other than bards. It's looking like Hearthstone time, but I just have to fly back here. And run over to that flight point. Goddamn enemies stuck in the world with their constant evade. No, you're right, Emilis. Hearthstone's probably the way to go without stealth, but because I'm going back to Hallowfall anyway, I feel like this will be quicker. I could be wrong. It might have actually been faster to immediately Hearthstone and then fly. Another one just stuck in the wall as well. What's it with these spider mobs always getting stuck? It's alright, the flight point isn't far. Yeah, it's the little Niffin village in here. Pardon me. Chilling behind that rock. You're a little close to the village, aren't you, friends? Watch, by the time I actually just walk to the flight master, suddenly it'll be like, oh, you can fly again. Niffin friends, delightful little snoots. I wonder if they'll show up more expansions from now. I doubt they're going to show up in midnight. Can't take a flight path while in combat. Shit, I forgot. God damn it. I should have listened to you, Emlis. I should have immediately half-stoned. Ridiculous. Gonna miss my price surging in Undermine as well. Gonna have to do that at the end of the next half hour. I think it's every half hour for surging. Where's that new events tab? No, it's another hour from that. God damn it. So, the Thunder Hearthstone came with the War Within. I think it may have been a pre-order bonus or the Digital Deluxe bonus. I ended up getting a collector's edition because I like the old WoW collector's editions. There was a time where I always got the collector's edition, and then there were a few years where I didn't, and I regretted it. I love getting those art books. Then the Bronze Dragonflight one I was from a quest line in the war from Dragonflight. And then the other one I tend to use is a big Hearthstone box. And that one is from a Hearthstone anniversary event that is no longer available. I remember the Shadowlands one. That was kind of the first one they did. There's actually a few to unlock these days, which is pretty cool. The Draenei Heritage quest line, when you get a Draenei to level 50, I believe, you can do that. It's a reward for there. And you can only use it on a Draenei. And it's like a sci-fi teleporter. It's really cool. But they put them all over the place these days. Like, we're going to my toy box. Oh, God. Why? One moment. Get off me. Oh, no. There's a queue now. Damn it. So, yeah, there's the Deep Dwell one. There's the Shadowlands one. There's a Christmas one. A few in there I haven't seen. I don't know what the Enlightened one is. Fire Eater, Headless Horseman. The explosive one from looting one of the raid bosses. Mechagon one? Oh, so one came way before Shadowlands. Interesting. The Lunar one, and they all have different, like the Lunar one's just the beam comes down. Dominated one is Angry Portal. Shadowlands one speaks for itself. Don't know if half you put down this little Hearthstone board. Yeah, it's just another avenue for customization, which I do like. Unfortunate that a good chunk of them are behind, like, the pre-orders and stuff like that, but there seems to be enough to earn in-game now. Like, whoop, wrong way. There is no flying this way. There are certainly ones to go and get. I imagine it's something that will continue to add. Time goes on. I just like that. The human racial used to be you gained more reputation. But they changed that a few patches ago. Now you get 2 charges of your Hearthstone, which is very, very nice.
We are the seekers of
Especially for a bugger like me.
Stay alert. May the shadows pass you.
Lovely. Yep, they are daily quests. God damn it. I should have known. Do the Hearthstone one. Hearthstone, surprisingly, I still enjoy from time to time now. I just mainly going in and doing arena runs. I know there's going to be a rework to that mode sometime this year. Like a big change they've been waiting years to do. Excited to see where they go with it. Again, just as an extension of WoW and building out the world. They don't go the same route Legends of Runeterra goes. It's not quite as world buildy. It's more just expressing a theme than it is deepening the world's lore. It never really comes back into WoW in the same way that Runeterra positions itself for the League of Legends IP. But it's just kind of... It's still fun to play, and Legends of Runeterra is just in a bit of a slow point at the moment. The events don't tempt me quite as they used to. Okay. Blackwater we nearly got through. Let's do Steam Weedle.
Good stuff. And don't let them work you overtime.
Aye, aye, Gaslow.
I'll be waiting. Come back for more.
Aye, exactly.
Stopping by.
You see a lot of wonderful WoW artwork. I just wish more of it was either canonized or explained in a way. You know, they've done stuff like add a whole Titan, Worgen Demon Hunters. I know I say it, that's like my example every time, but they do stuff that then doesn't necessarily show itself in WoW. And then the stuff with like Reno Jackson, Sir Finley and the crew, those characters turn up a lot, but they don't actually have the voices from Hearthstone, which feels like you're both Blizzard properties. Surely you can share some of that voice acting. Maybe there's contractual stuff that stops that from happening. But it seems like a no-brainer to me. Or maybe they just don't want to pay them that extra for using the voice over in their other property.
Let that stop you. Fix it.
That bit bombs. Shoveling some trash. As I said earlier, we are getting to the point where the weekly side of things
It happens sometimes.
is more just making sure I have my pinnacle coffer keys. Like the reps from the cartels I'm less bothered by. And it is starting to get to the point of, But I suppose with Horrific Visions coming soon, that will offset that. We will have new activities to be getting on with. In the LFR, I'm happy to keep building up rep for the Glagio. I think having a reputation bar within LFR actually gives me a reason to keep going back to it. As someone who doesn't raid any levels above that, because I imagine you'll be leveling that up way faster if you were doing it on any of the others. I assume you get more rep from doing it on high difficulties. At the very least, that would be my assumption. Mere garbage gold.
Time to head out. Get a move on.
Stand in it. There's a lot to earn in Undermine. There's a lot to do. It's just none of the aesthetic really sings to me in any way, so it doesn't bother me as much. I'm not like really other than said trench coat. But again, I don't want to spend days and days on stream farming the same group of dark fuse for really slow reputation games.
One goblin's tragic oil spill.
Like maybe at some point I feel comfortable enough getting to that point. Or if it's been a really busy news week and I feel like I can talk shit for hours in one spot, but pardon me. I struggle enough at the time. Oop. Wrap it. Nope.
You're gonna let that stop you? Fix it!
But at the moment on the back of the stream end, the new screen situation seems to be old screen situation seems to be working out okay. Whatever happened with my mic yesterday, I've no idea, but seems to be mostly sorted. And all the levels, at least going through my recordings, seem okay.
1 minute left on this one.
So shouldn't be not to worry about there going forward. I'll have to see with some of the edits to do my shorts in the coming hours. Because it does, the resolution change does mean a lot of the settings I've grown used to I have to dink around with. It's not too bad. I think it's just approaching the anniversary of the channel, 22nd of July. No, we're not too far off from that, and I have to be realistic about where the channel's at and what changes I might have to make. Whether that is going and finding a job,
Back it up. We're done scrapping this one.
because at the moment it's just kind of hoping we break through. And I'm no stranger to the reality of streaming, especially the fact that I've got myself currently limited to YouTube itself rather than doing it through Twitch and YouTube. And not taking advantage of YouTube better as a platform, which would be, again, the more edited videos. Like, obviously the shorts feed's helping a lot, like most of our growth comes from the shorts feed. But the video tab being empty, YouTube finds very upsetting. But again, then it would be a matter of, right, I guess I'd start streaming less to start making edited videos. And here's the thing, there are a few topics I could make an edited video about. There's a few things within the industry I would happily rant about.
It worked. Great.
But I don't think that's a basis for long-term success, because again, they're very much passion pieces. And if nothing else, YouTube likes regularity. So I don't think I could keep hitting that mark on a regular time frame. And there are some channels who get around that. You're like, oh, what's his name? Super Eye Patch Wolf was always a fun one to watch, but he only does a video once a blue moon. But that's kind of how his channel's been for a long time. So if I went from where I'm at now and made a dramatic shift, it's unlikely to do well for quite some time. And as I say, I can't position myself in a way where just some topics I feel passionate about, because at some point I feel like maybe I've got 5 to 7 videos at most in me doing that. And I never necessarily wanted to be a reviews channel, which would then involve taking a game I've been playing and all the streams of it we've been doing, then taking a week or 2 off. Because when I first started the channel, that was the goal. I was like, right, and then on the weekends, I'll still stream WoW in the morning, and then I'll spend the rest of the weekend making the edited videos. But it was very clear very quickly that that was just going to do me in. Like, there was no time for myself at the moment with everything else going on in the background in life, that it was too much. You know, burnout was happening really, really quickly. And so we kind of threw that idea under the bus. I think the other thing that's important about creating content is, what are you saying that makes it different from what anyone else is saying? And obviously in a review you have an opportunity to put yourself in there, but I don't necessarily think that would be a way to grow the channel. In the other videos, yeah, I could put my take on some things, but I don't think it would be enough when I don't really have a... what's the word? Gimmick's the wrong word.
You will never believe the kind of chemicals.
Other than I try to be a pretty nice and chill guy, I don't have like a field of expertise before that. Oh, nope, I ignored her. Go again, I'm sorry.
It's all coming together.
I think come to that anniversary point, we'll see.
I got a free hand.
Now, I know the separation of WoW in the morning and other stuff in an evening, I don't necessarily think the algorithm agrees with. But it kind of feels disingenuous when I would be playing some WoW anyway, to not be doing it.
Stirring things up.
I love WoW, and it's going to have a place in my
It's all
gaming
coming
library
together.
and my life for
Ooh, I got
the
some.
foreseeable future,
I got a free
as it has
hand.
done the past however many years. Oh my god. Reset this potion properly, please. Are we good?
Stirring things up.
Please. Okay, cola. And again. And to be fair, the WoW stuff in the morning is set up for more of a morning show. And the bigger the audience and the more folks just in nattering in a morning, the more that kind of plays to itself. And I can bounce off other people. And obviously when WoW's busier, like the player housing stuff, or when Remix comes out, or when there's a big new patch, or expansion, it's a lot easier than in the dregs between patches at the moment. What do you mean when you want me to give it another go? We were there. What went wrong? God damn it. I feel like I'm being robbed. This world quest should take me 2 minutes.
It's all coming together.
Terrible at video games. This time, hot dog. Cola. I think it's just going to be a matter of, once I hit that year mark, seeing where we're at and trying to consider some options. It might be more of a stopping the morning stream and just streaming it on an evening, depending on how a day's gone. And trying to find employment elsewhere, but I was job hunting for several years before getting to this point and getting nowhere. So, turning a long story short, my CV isn't exactly the most filled out, so it makes it pretty difficult. And the last job I had was like online moderation, like proper for a company being paid, that kind of thing. Finally.
Don't worry about it. I'm sure one of
But
these
getting a job that
places
isn't
you help make
online,
cure it.
because it was a work from home thing, even before COVID,
We're gonna need cash if we want to keep this operation
it doesn't
running.
necessarily tend to be
Go get a
looked
paper
on
route or
favourably by potential employers.
Can you believe those chuckleheads?
Doesn't give you much credence,
Trying
let's
to
say.
imitate my work. Show 'em what's what.
And maybe I just got unlucky in those 2 years or so. But again, the reality of the situation might require some more drastic efforts. But we will see. Again, I do enjoy streaming. I do enjoy sharing games and stories with folks, which was, I think, as a baseline, I always wanted to and studied to make games or do a bit of voice acting as well on the side of that. But the actual making thereof fell through. Like, just once I learned how the sausage was made, how much was required. It was more of a reality check. And like, at the very least, at that point in my life, was not hacking it. And just like any creative medium, whether that would then be voice acting or drawing or creating games, it is difficult to
What's in the mix?
put that ahead of getting something more regular that would guarantee an income. You know what I mean? Like, you still have any creative medium, you have to build up, you have to work at it. And for the streaming, I don't just want to throw in the towel, as it were. Because over 200 people is still not nothing, you know? Yourselves here watching and listening, whatever time you do, whether that's live or down the line. It's folks giving me their time and support. I definitely don't want to throw any of that away. And I know you're right, Emilis, in the chat. You should always put yourself first. That's something, pardon me, I have struggled with over the years, and has caused problems in my detriment. Very much a people pleaser, but a friend of mine said some time ago, it is way easier to do things for other people when you are sorted in yourself.
Good work selling those papers, kid.
Fill up this barrel. So again, we will see how we get on over time. I'd still like to stream. Again, if I can't make stories, then sharing them is a nice next step, as it were. And who knows, again, I've had a couple of little voice acting gigs. But it's NDA stuff and it's helping a friend out, so it may not end up ever coming to anything. You know, games get cancelled all the bloody time. We will have to see. That's enough that I enjoy doing as well with telling and staring stories, is doing silly voices as we go.
I need a target.
But as I said, it's like with other creative mediums. You have to get very lucky. And you have to keep putting yourself out there for very little return initially. If at all, you know. As the world and the world of employment gets increasingly messy. But who knows what opportunities await round the corner? Who knows where life will take any of us, not just me. New doors can open in very surprising places.
Got a special recipe.
It's just being open to them. Just something I try and be better with these days. Get booped.
Good riddance. There's only one genuine noggin fogger potion maker in this town.
Let's see where we sat. Got a race back there. Keep going on with these world quests. There you go, Grimy. Get me going. Oh, I did the reverse course. Ah, it's fine. Why not? And off we go. Oh, no, no, no. Oh, fine. Oh, miss all the silly little goblin cars. Again, while I wish they'd have done a little bit more of the customization, and at the very least put it a little sooner, it's still been fun to boop around and drift around. I can't imagine we'll have something similar in what we still assume is an ethereal-based patch next, the 0.2. I reckon they'll do away with flying again, because it just keeps people going around the zone more steadily rather than racing their way through, flying from one part to the next and not really going through and exploring. Or maybe they do the old Pathfinder thing of, oh, X number of weeks, X number of quests, then you get your flying.
Shredder with our newest anti-antifreeze. Tested out by icing down a few things.
Maybe some ethereal portal thing. Let's just free some of the populace. Because I can't see them doing anything crazy and drastic with the next zone. But I'd like to be wrong. I'd like to be surprised. It's just trying to think in that design space, right? Ethereals. Potentially a ruined planet. Instead of Argus is green, it will be purpley. What can be done? I'd imagine a lot of portals.
Good work. I'll be sure to send someone.
We see a lot of that
we're testing later.
with the ethereals and void stuff. And are we going to be aligned with the fellow who stole the Dark Heart? Are we going to be aligned with Xalatath? Are we just going to be fighting everybody? There's a lot of possibilities we're not quite fully aware of yet. And we do have the 0.7 patch coming next, which more and more data mining is happening. We have stuff with Faerun and Arathor and Denaf Trollbane. Bless him. To have a character come back from Burning Crusade, join us in the War Within, and then just kind of be immediately sidelined was like, well, at least he's getting a moment now to shine. And Faerun, as much as people complained, you know, the kind of people whose complaints aren't really complaints, that she exists, still didn't even have that much to do in the story. So she had like a quarter of the campaign. I really liked her, and I like everything they've set up with the, oh no, with the Arathi, and what crazy light-based empire we've got set up for an expansion down the line. We still got a lot more room to dig into a character. And I think reflecting on that with Denaf is probably going to be pretty interesting. But the other thing for the 0.7 patch was like these little story vignettes they're doing with Lore Walker Cho. It seems like a proper story mode that you can level up with, from what I understand so far. Like from level 10 onwards, you can choose these little lore walking stories. I can't imagine they'll level you up loads. I think the first 3 options they're going to have is a Xal'atath story, an Ilaria story, and then, because of course, an Arthur story. So there's always an Arthur story. You've got to get people talking about the Lich King. And one of the most nostalgia-driven and beloved stories in WoW. Got to remember, for new players, where Warcraft 3 is so far behind the world at this point, and the RTS genre is as well, it just doesn't hold a candle anymore in terms of relevance to anyone new coming in. So having it in a way that can be introduced through a little vignette with Lore Walker Cho, which again, need more Cho, need to make use of that character, he's fantastic. It'll be a decent way for folks new to WoW and its lore to engage in a lot of that old story. And I think, as a lot of folks have considered upon learning about it, is that's the kind of thing that over time you can just add more and more stories to.
Resellers are the worst of the worst. Come up with your own product.
Like, there's so many characters within WoW's lore and so many tiny stories. The possibility space there is pretty much never ending. Even within a singular faction, like you think about the orcs, there's so many individual orcs that you can start telling stories about. But that is each of the clan leaders, or Sarok, or Thrall, you know. From big to small. More warbound loot. We'll sort our bags out when we get finished. What do we got? We got a word soul memory, the special one, the side gig, and then some shipping with Nana. And then we'll be good for the morning. Let's get ourselves over. They also data mined like transmog chess pieces, which I can't see us going back to Karazhan again. So that must mean the little mini game in Hallowfall. Pardon me. The little not quite chess tabletop game with the Rook Knight and the castle. Maybe there's more events around that. I don't know what the general perception from the player base was for that little mini game in Hallowfall, but I kind of liked it. It was alright. It was simple enough. The higher difficulty, you just had to kind of move your pieces around really quick. They had like one world quest where you would go and do it, but otherwise there was no reason outside of the story to engage with it at all. So if they've got a little event around, oh, go and do some of these, beat some of these Grandmasters, get a transmog piece. Sure, happily we'll do that. It was enjoyable enough to warrant that, at least. You know, they put the time to put it in the game. So you'd rather it had some more rewards associated with it, rather than it being, oh, we tried this and didn't really have any plans for it. I can't imagine it will be that impactful to the story of the full patch, but there we are. Will probably be like the midpoint of a storyline. Oh, Feyrin and Danaf want to sit down and play a match of... God, what was its name? We got so many lore books about it, and I can't remember its name. It's been that long. You've gone through the war with it. You know the mini game I mean. Or are these? Come over here. How many of those do I have? Oh, that's already 2 keys. Get the end of this. That's maybe another 4. Plenty for our delves come Friday. Nope, no healing for you. Slowly building up for our underpin temps. Which again, yesterday was just, I was knackered. It isn't much of an excuse, but he just beat the shit out of me. We got 2 attempts to about 50%. But again, by the time you're that way through the fight, there's so many oil puddles making you slip around the arena. And if you miss one set of ads placement where they're spawning across other sides of the arena, you get split, you miss a couple, more ads start coming down. Absolute mess. Like I've said before, I have every faith we will get that done before the next 0.2 patch. Absolutely. And it is nice to have a proper goal, rather than just, I want this transmog and I want to get the quests done. To actually have an endgame pillar as a solo player, I think is really important. Just hope that they put a little more into, what's the word? The theatre of it all. I want that to be a unique model at the end there. I want it to have a little more story relevance in the same way a raid boss or a dungeon boss can. Dungeon bosses to a lesser extent, but now they've got follower mode, they can start incorporating dungeons back into the story in a very more direct way, rather than it being these little side vignettes. Because then there's no barrier to entry for players who don't do group content, or players newer to the game. That's Emilis. Thanks for hanging out as ever. You take care now. Enjoy the rest of your day off. Alright, yous enjoy. Best wishes. Keep yourselves hydrated. I think it'll be a lot harder for them to do the raid story mode as a more... the entire experience and all of the mechanics where the AI can manage and get through, but I hope they do it. Just so I can see more of those raid environments without the helter-skelter pace of LFR. Imagine even the match-made environments of going through normals and heroics in pugs. Not really there for the scenery at that point. How much opportunity your average pug group gets to actually explore, I imagine it's that high. Maybe by the time you've gotten through the raid, you can go back and have a look, but it's not the same. It's going through it steadily with a story.
Dark Fuse is sending their best to try and make trouble for us. How many of their best do you think?
Hey guys, low. We try and grab these. This is a few other players about. Make it easier. Not they're difficult, they're just tanky. The sense that it takes a moment solo. There's still an element on these WoW streams of, do I go back? Have 1 or 2 of the days be a classic focus stream. And I think I'd just be doing that for the sake of it. I don't really have Like, there's nostalgia there. I played when vanilla was current contents when I first got into the game, but I don't hold the same level of reverence to that content that a lot of folks do. I remember being annoyed by a lot. I remember not understanding a lot. I was pretty young when I started. I think if you're playing with people in a larger group and are investing in like the community side of it, absolutely you're going to get a lot more out of it. But I think the way I play this game,
Answer was all of them. You know,
it's not really going to do much other than, okay, we're leveling. And we're leveling real slowly. You know, I'm sure there are plenty of interesting stories between the zones, but their approach to storytelling has changed so much over the years. And I'm much more of a fan of the in-game cinematics and the much more front and center approach we have these days. Like, what overarching story did Vanilla WoW have? And it didn't really. Come on, let's be honest. It didn't. We just kind of bounced from one boss to another. The zones had bits in there between them, but there wasn't much in terms of overall. I remember the Onyxia stuff when she was disguised in Stormwind, and Marshal Windsor and Bolvar and Anduin in that throne room. Whenever a player would get the head of Onyxia, and eventually when I went and got it myself, and that reveal and it taking over the city in a way around the throne room, that was really impressive. You know, at the time, seeing
What you got?
that another player's actions and what they done have uncovered this big conspiracy,
Doing, pal?
that was so cool. And with Modern WoW, you don't really get that. Like, occasionally you'll get someone bring a legendary to a city and they're like, ah, somebody got the stick, hooray! And it's not an event in the same way. But again, those vanilla scenarios are few and far between. And honestly, I can't remember more than that one. And if you can, let me know, like, what quest for you in Classic WoW or Vanilla WoW stood out to the point all these years later you either remember it, or when you played Classic, if you went in to do so, you were like, oh, I can't wait to revisit this quest line. How much of it was either the gold-tinted glasses, or just the rhetoric of, oh, the game was better then? To which my response is always, well, in what ways? There was more community focus, absolutely. It took longer to level, absolutely. Because it took longer, you were able to immerse yourself a little more. As someone who mainly played like Hunter and then Paladin, I can't say the combat was better. If anything, Modern WoW's combat is pretty bloated. Many would argue there are too many buttons these days. Whereas back then, things were a lot slower, they were a lot simpler. But you're still going through and killing your you're getting your crab meat, you know? What truly speaks to people? Because to me, I'm remembering different ranks of abilities. I'm remembering having to run back to a city and spend gold I don't have learning a new move. Leveling up, like, I get a new weapon, I get my greatsword, oh, I'm so happy. Oh, my greatsword skill is 0. And it does no damage. So I have to go back to a low level area to level up this greatsword. I'm never going to hit anything because every hit will be miss, dodge, miss, parry. For me, that's not fun. That's just a grind getting in the way of me playing the game. And Vanilla had so many systems like that. On the one hand, yeah, it gives you more content to chew through. And in the later game, some of the bigger, like attunement to get into a raid, you know, this whole extra layer before you can get into a raid, whether it's to unlock a key or a boss, or again, even to grant entry. It's so much more work. And some would say, oh, you're earning your way into it. I'd say Story-wise, it's interesting, but gameplay-wise, you're just limiting what people can do. You're limiting it based on time. Not skill. That's farming resources. You know, that doesn't take a better player to farm resources. That's having more time to do so. Now, hardcore is a little different because that changes the game a little bit. That changes the reasons you're in there. And I'm not going to lie. For WoW, I'm kind of tempted. Because I tend not to like hardcore modes. I don't like having to put all that time and effort in and have it be snatched away from me. Like the idea of trying EVE Live again, it's like, nope. It will all be gone if I mess up or don't understand something. And that element is definitely there when you go back to classic WoW. That, oh, I've forgotten how this mechanic worked back then. Or I've not grinded enough where I'm over-leveling this bit where, so, oh, I've wandered into, what's his name? The big construct that would walk down Darkshire. It was either Stitches or Patches. It was one of the two. And don't get me wrong, in the classic days, that was scary. That was threatening. Whereas nowadays, an elite's wandering around, you're kind of, I'll go slap it. Whereas back then, it was like, no, you need a group of people, ideally above its level. They better have already looted shoulder pads. You know what I mean? Like, you were worried by a creature like that going through a zone. They've tried that since, with just the odd world boss being about. But it's never felt the same. And even in some of the endgame zones, where the rares are a little tougher, it's never felt insurmountable. I've never felt like, oh, there's a new Stitches or Patches or whichever name it was that I have to be careful for. I know a lot of folks have a lot of nostalgia for Fel Reaver in Burning Crusade. And don't get me wrong, its noise, it had a presence in the Hellfire Peninsula. Like, you were aware of it in a way you don't get these days. But it was more just big, scary, stay away from it or it boots me. I don't remember it being this, oh, I have to kill that one day. As well, I don't remember its loot table by any means. It wasn't like you got the fancy Fel Reaver only helmet that, you know. And I could be wrong there, because the gear game honestly never really interested me that much. Until this past expansion with Delves, because now I care about gear. Because I have a goal for me. So the idea of hardcore, whilst more interesting overall, I still think is more novel from my perspective. Like, I'm sure I'd enjoy it, and it'd be really interesting to go and try and remember what Paladin was like back then, which I just remember being way more static. And not as fun, to be honest. Like, when Wrath of Lich King first was starting to be data mined, I remember this, it's a very strange memory just to have very clearly. I was at school, it was like an IT class. And a friend I'd made, who was also just getting into WoW, was like, oh, go to this website, go to MMO Champion. Oh, what's that? Oh, it tells you stuff that's not out yet, it's secrets. Oh, what does that mean? And learning, oh, Paladins get Divine Storm. Oh, look at that. Look at this. Holy shit. We don't have anything like that. You know, I didn't have Templar's Verdict back then. You were just kind of auto-attacking shit over and over and over again. So that was a big change. And it was very flashy. I think the game has certainly gotten more and more flashy as they've added and piled on more visual effects. And again, we can definitely argue that it's too much these days, especially for new or returning players. But I much prefer that to the static and stationary that the older game was. At least in my memory. Again, I'm sure there's plenty of intricacies that I'm not remembering, right? And a lot of extra details and difficulty when it comes to, especially the endgame raids. I'm not sitting here and saying, oh, it was easy. It was a different game. In a way, a lot more time consuming. Which again, for some people, that's kind of what they want with their MMO to be. I am much happier they kind of respect the... What's this? You're actually getting out there and conquering the races. I had Fritz B whip you up a new engine to play with. Don't wreck it. Oh. Oh, there was another way to get an engine. Where have you gone? I've no idea where it's gone. I need to clean out my bags. Ay, ay, ay. Clean out those. Ba, 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 ba. More random gear. There it is. Another box. More bags of money. More warbound gear. So much warbound gear. Ooh. Purple Void version. I think when it comes to WoW, if they had never added transmog, I'd have probably fallen off years ago. Gotta keep collecting for that fashion game. Always more shoulder pads to be gained. A ridiculous size and proportions, and I love it. Right, that's us cleaned.
Come back for more.
Right, last thing we're waiting for today is... Oh, quickly do this. Hand in our little card to Chet. Is our surge pricing, which is in about 10-ish minutes. Here's your checklist. Give me a new one. Thank you very much. More currency. Which I am capped out on. Oh no. Can I go and spend... Oh, I haven't opened my Great Vault yet. Hang on, I can do that first. I always forget on the Wii set to go and open my Great Vault. We might get an upgrade. Always busiest on a Wednesday. There's only a couple pieces left that aren't hero. Let's see. Cape already got. Ooh, a two-handed mace. It doesn't have secondary stats, but got harmful melee attacks and abilities have a chance to trigger an explosion, dealing 700k fire damage. That is a ridiculous looking mace. You don't need the whirly sword on the back as well as the gigantic explodey head. I mean, I'll take it for the transmog. I prefer having the other bonus stats. And explosion's nice, but... And that's probably really good for, like, group content and Mythic Plus and clearing out wider packs of enemies compared to just some versatility and... What was the other one I have? A bit of haste. But I think for my efforts in fighting the Underpin, probably not as useful. That it will be sold. Everything else is warbound, apart from that ring. Get them to the bank in a moment. Let me just see what I can upgrade.
What do you seek?
I should sell first.
Go carefully.
So I don't accidentally upgrade the wrong thing. No, no, no. Wait, would you?
In unity, find strength.
Not yet. Unless I can swap some crests around.
May we all find what we seek. We have slept long enough.
should do me
Fair
1.
skies and strong winds.
Ah. There you go. Max out those. A little bit of Valor spent. You're saying Valor... Is Valor still warbound? Or rather, solo bound? A shame. I don't know. Seems like it'd make more sense to send it around to my alts. Why not at some point? I'm sure they've their reasons. At least at the start of a patch cycle. I think when we're this many weeks in, you can probably get away with not doing so. Oh no. Need to get on that enchanter. Need to remove some of all this. Yep, that's absolutely something I'm either going to have to do next week or at the weekend. Probably next week.
I need to get closer.
Be a Tuesday stream. Alright, we've just our price surging left to do, and our car quest in Undermine. I'm going to do it as I'm going to get us back over there. I'm going to take a very quick bio break. Then we will drive around for Nana, get our shipping done, and then call it for the morning. So stretch your legs, refill your beverage. I'll be back with you in just a few minutes. I'll see you soon. And we're back. Thank you for your patience. Get me headset back on. Alright, a few minutes and price surging will be available. Go and dink some rares if I can get to them in time before that point. Well, why not? No, he's just gone down. Son of a gun. So I can start doing the jobs at this point. Go on then, Nana.
Start your engine, Toots. You got a job to do.
No, one day I'll learn to drive. I will miss all the saxophones. Because I imagine once we get to Ethereal Land next, it's going to be a lot of ominous, voidy music. I'm going to miss all this upbeat feel. Speaking of the farming spot for said trench coat, I still bought all the materials to do that. I just haven't dedicated the time yet.
Job and you didn't total your car. I call that a success.
Who's in there? Oh, it'll be for getting our rep up with the pirate gang. What have you got for me?
I got just what you need. Always
A box,
pleasure.
and what do you have available now? Companion, which is, no, he's a cute little T-Rex. Or a couple of toys. No dice for me. If it's not transmog, I don't...
So,
Excuse me. In somebody's house, what are you all doing? Get out of it. The headquarters, none of them lifted a finger. Oh, disgraceful. No torch. Not like this. And there's the shipping. Immediately, other players in their cars just zooming around each other. That's the part of it I really like. Again, as much as I enjoy playing solo, it's that feel of an MMO, being in a world where there's just other folks about, cracking on. The zone feels very alive.
Good
I think they do well with all these different, not just the world quests, but all these different events and like time stuff that pops up. I think that's a lot of reason folks tend to still really enjoy Guild Wars, is there's always a reason to go, Guild Wars 2 I should say. There's a reason to go back to a lot of zones because a lot of the events going on, from what I understand of course, second-hand, third-hand information, is just ever present in a way that encourages a larger group of players to go back, in a way beyond what WoW's managed. And I think WoW's pushing a little more in that direction, but we are a ways out from hitting that same level. Oh no, where's this last dirt pile? Don't do this to me, game. Why are we polishing dirt piles on the floor anyway? Ah, down there. Indistinguishable. Lovely.
Great work, Toots. I hope your cut's enough to pay all of your traffic tickets.
Wait, at the end of this patch, a group of goblins come out of us. Here's all your traffic tickets. Thousands of gold. We just kill them all, but you know. Would be amusing to see. Some follow through.
Get closer.
Pop, pop. One more. These'll do.
Record time,
Lovely.
sweetie. I'm moving you to the top of my Rolodex.
What?
I don't have a target.
Don't you nibble me, hyena. It's that little bit, this tiny bit, market research. Getting that rep and that research you'd need to fully get to Exalted. Actually, how much am I sat on? 300. That's 3 boxes. 250 rep each. When, what's that bar? 6,000. Just to get from friendly to honoured. Get. You want some grinds for people to focus on, but I wish it wasn't quite so focused in the sense that you would need to hit a grinding spot and just kill mobs over and over and over and over again. A little bit more through osmosis would be nice. Again, it does make the rewards stand out a little more because, oh, you have taken the time. But again, it's not a test of skill, it's a test of time. And I am much less bothered by those. When so many video games are vying for your time. And don't get me wrong, a trench coat is a pretty decent reward when it comes to WoW's transmog system. At some point. I think they're certainly, judging by the stuff we see on the PTR and how all the events have changed, focus a little bit. There is a lot more focus on just more transmog for the game. This book one's going to be the same again, isn't it? We're going to read the books and we're going to say Lord Jaraxxus. More Wrath nostalgia that will never die. I think I'm past the point of finding Jaraxxus funny anymore. Let him go. It's fine.
You do the work, I don't break a nail. That's a win-win for me.
Now again, I struggle to remember where in Legion, what demons we ended up permanently killing. Because they had to be killed in the Twisting Nether. And there were some Nether portals we went into, but I don't know what actually counted as we have actually dealt with this demon forever and we'll never see them again, ever. Because otherwise, there's just a possibility that any demon come back, even with the end of Legion and the Burning Legion itself not being a threat anymore, in the same way. You know, it's supposedly it will never be the world-ending threat it has been, except maybe in 8 expansions time, who can say. They just start cycling through the cosmic orders again. There's every possibility we get to that point. But we've still got, you know, the light to fight, the titans to fight. More death stuff not related to the Shadowlands. Before we ever go back to demons wholesale fronting an expansion. It's not like there's any warlocks or demonologists who are like an antagonist, as it were, these days. I'm racking my brains trying to think of one, but I just can't. There's that warlock fellow who survived the explosion of Dalaran, where we had to kind of resurrect him as part of that intro quest. Nope. Gotta take my enforced break. There we go. I know it's hard to think of, within the bounds of the world they've created for WoW, what new enemy, like, when it comes to creating a new faction. I think people would get really pissed if you just slapped a new Cosmic Order into all those charts they've now spent years trying to canonize and build. I always think there'll be something interesting you could do with the Elemental Lords again. Because they've kind of been out of the picture for a while. And every time they come back in, it just seems lesser and lesser each time. but without doing anything Cataclysm-ish related of blowing up the world, hard to see where the elements would fit in. Unless you do a Legion-y type thing again of having an expansion where every class has its own set of storylines, but I just don't think that's plausible these days. Alright, there are our quests done though. Oh, and another 4 keys there. Beautiful. I'm just getting to the point where, again, I'm not too bothered by the various weekly reps. We're almost having more than enough keys to do our delves. Let's get back to Dornagol. Hand in the other one to Faerin. We call it for the morning. Oh, you're right there, OBS. Yeah, it's fine. The preview was just looking a bit funky, but everything seems fine. It's been a long time since I've made, like, the cock-up of just forgetting to have the game streaming.
Can you feel it? Beladar hums with joy. With
There we
hope.
go. 16 keys.
You've
Oh,
done
very
well,
nice.
my friend.
Got our last bit of gear into the war bank. And we're good to go.
My directive is to serve you.
Lovely. Nipped by Tarab and Garib. I haven't done my professions quests in a while either, to be fair, but I felt the need yet. Null stones, you robbing bastards. That's why I'm happy your shit got blown up. Screw them if they're asking for null stones. Alright. With that said then, folks, I will say thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed yourselves, don't forget to hit that like button. Helps push the video through the algorithm so more folks come hang out and play some games with us. Subscribe for more content here on the channel. On the weekdays we're at 9 AM GMT with World of Warcraft, and between 4 and 6 in the evening we start up with other games. Currently, of course, Avowed. And you can find a playlist to all the other games and WoW patches we've covered right here on the channel. Binge to your heart's content. So until next time, folks, much love, take care, and bye-bye.
Cover for me. I got a whiz